Wow, that
Disney
concept art
Dreamlight
looks
Valley.
amazing.
The Storybook Vale Part 1 launches November 20.
Let's go! It is November 20th! Dude! The rumors were right! Alright, hello everybody! We are on the verge of the showcase debut. I am live right now with my Twitch community. We're about to watch this. I have been so excited all day. I am pumped to see the future of Disney Dreamlight Valley. I am sure you are too, so you're going to be seeing my live reaction, obviously because it's counting down right now. So, yeah, get ready. And if you're watching this here with me on Twitch, thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you guys. I know we've been talking about this nonstop for the past couple of weeks, so I know everybody's pumped. We're going to learn about the new expansion. We're going to learn about new quality of life features. I'm sure we'll see some new characters, maybe get a new roadmap, get some important dates. Either way, we're about to figure out exactly what we're going to see right now.
Since this time last year, we've introduced 2 new realms, 13 new characters, and dozens of exciting furniture and wardrobe items across 6 free updates and the Disney Dreamlight Valley, a Rift in Time expansion pass. As always, if you have a suggestion or feedback for the game, don't hesitate to let us know on one of our social media accounts or by joining our official Discord server.
Up next, we've got another community manager, Courtney, and our game manager, Guillaume, to give you all the deets on our upcoming free update and maybe some of those aforementioned quality of life improvements that you can expect coming to your valleys very soon.
Let's see it. Come on, let's see it.
Thanks for joining me today to take a deep dive into the next free content update coming to the Valley.
Hello!
Thanks for having us.
So last year around this time, we revealed Jack Skellington and the Pumpkin King Returns update. As you likely guessed from our last roadmap, Sally from Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas will join him, bringing her signature patchwork style to the Valley as part of the So Delightful update.
After hunting for dolls and experimenting on night shards with Jack, what can we expect from Sally's adventures in the Valley?
Well, having lost her way outside the Valley, players will team up with Jack to make sense of Sally's creepy-crawly messengers as they craft a plan to reunite with her. Then as Sally gets comfortable in the Valley, you'll help her set up a macabre date night, embrace the art of quilting, and puzzle out her latest premonition, among other
cute.
things.
So as far as Sally's friendship rewards go, what can players expect?
Well, inspired by our sense of style, you can expect tons of patterns across clothing items and furniture. From stripped socks to a bed featuring Sally's iconic patchwork aesthetic, these rewards just scream Sally.
Now, it wouldn't be a Disney Dreamlight Valley update without a new STARPATH. What can we expect from the theme this time around?
Let's go.
This winter, we'll be embracing the ethereal sides of the season. You'll get to step into your own personal fairy tale with ice-adorned furniture and bring a sense of whimsy to your Dreamsnaps submissions with a wand that produces snowflakes.
Well, there's never been a better time to join the Valley, especially now, as I know the team's been cooking up something particularly special with this update. Isn't that right, Guillaume?
That's right. As part of the So Delightful update, we're introducing a feature called Floating Islands. These act as additional spaces parallel to the valley, where players can decorate and let their creativity run free.
We called it.
So you could almost think of these as extensions of the current biomes?
Exactly. Each biome in the valley will have a floating island counterpart, retaining the same theme and ambience, but it will start as a clean slate.
Just like we said, a separate area.
We'll out over time, and we'll kick things off with 4 floating islands in the So Delightful update. Like biomes in the valley, they will be purchasable with Dreamlight. And even better, each floating island will have objects limit independent from those in the valley, making them perfect for exploring your creativity and seeing how far you can go with your decorating skills.
We've also seen how driven our community is to connect, so it was equally important to us to ensure that this creativity could be shared. So yes, you will be able to travel to floating islands during valley visits.
Oh,
How
that's
big are these
cool.
spaces?
From a scale perspective, our intention is for each of these floating islands to feel comparable in size to their valley counterparts, once you've taken out immovable features. Ultimately, the goal is to offer ample space to create without them feeling overwhelming. We will have more to share about the exact size of the floating islands a little closer to launch.
And any furniture, decorations, or houses you've collected, as well as villagers you've befriended, will be totally accessible on these islands, and you won't have to worry about tidying up. Instead, the focus will be on empowering you with the creativity-focused options you've come to love.
We have one more piece of big news to share regarding a feature update.
Oh, in addition to floating islands?
Yes, we're improving upon how players can decorate in a huge way. Currently, item rotation is locked to the 4 cardinal directions. We've been impressed with our community's creative drive. And it has inspired us to add even greater control when placing items by increasing to 16 points of rotation.
And this feature won't just apply to furniture.
Let's
You'll be able to
go.
more freely rotate buildings, landscaping items, resources like flowers, and even dropped items like prepared dishes. Our plan is to continue building
That
upon
is
this feature over time,
huge.
including extending the support to fences and paths.
When will players be able to get their hands on these features in the rest of the update?
We are excited to share that the So Delightful update will be released free for all players on December 4th,
December
2024.
4th.
Speaking of release date, I feel like there was one more thing you wanted to unveil.
Looking ahead to next year, we're excited to share the free content roadmap for the first half of 2025.
Ooh.
In the first 3 updates of early next year,
Cheshire
we're excited to
Cat.
bring some beloved characters to the Valley. There are 2 I know have been among the top in community requests, and it's safe to say I'm right there with them.
And this is just a first look at what we have in store. With such a rich history of Disney and Pixar stories to draw from, there are so many exciting characters yet to come. I've been tiding myself over by hosting tea parties in the Valley, so I can't wait until we can share what the team's got in the cards for that spring update. How about you, Ryan?
I'm excited to see what Secret Skull Rock might hold. After all, I know
Dude,
this has been a
Skull
hot
Rock.
topic among the community, but most importantly, I can't wait to see what all of our players are most excited about. But with that, I really appreciate you both taking the time to chat today. Changing gears from free content updates, I think it's about time we visited a new land of mythical proportions.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Welcome to the Storybook Vale. Lately, life here hasn't been so happily ever after. But
Ooh,
it
we
wasn't
saw a new
always
character.
like this. Once upon a time, the Storybook Vale was a land made up of legendary stories, where myths and fairy tales sprang
Here we get
to
permitted.
life. Until one day, powerful villains stole it away.
Oh, Maleficent
and
looks good.
Twisted it to their image.
I'm more excited for Hades,
But
though.
their wicked nature didn't keep them friendly for long. Their hunger for power tore the veil apart. But all is not lost forever. Explore this magical world floating in the sky. Discover an enchanted artifact.
Ooh. Is that a new tool?
Treasured tales
It
that have
is.
taken on a life of their own. Unravel mythic riddles and reveal their hidden secrets.
Whoa, those armor
Rekindle
sets
old
look good.
friendships. Rediscover long-lost fables. And help old friends come back together again.
Wow, that
Disney
concept art
Dreamlight
looks
Valley. The
amazing.
Storybook Vale Part 1 launches November 20.
Let's go! It is November 20th! Dude! The rumors
Launching on
were
November
right!
20th, Part 1 of Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale, invites players to make use of their Stardust port once again to be whisked away to the Vale. Our second expansion pass gives players a whole new adventure, full of new friends, quests, biomes, and even more surprises. Joining us now to share more on the narrative and game design of Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale, are some familiar faces from our last showcase, Josh and Calixta. Welcome.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
I'm sure everyone is buzzing with questions after seeing that amazing trailer.
You know, I'm gonna feature
To
you
kick
guys
things
on
off, could you give
chat.
us
I'm gonna
more
feature you
insights
guys
into
on the
direction
stream.
behind creating another expansion pass?
Of course. So expansion passes let us recapture the feeling that we gave players the first time they stepped into the valley, telling a whole new story with new villagers to meet, mysteries to unravel, and biomes to make all your own. They're a great way for us to deliver just a huge amount of content to players.
And many of our players have interacted with the first expansion pass, Disney Dreamlight Valley: A Rift in Time, which was explored in 3 acts. Should they be looking forward to a similar rollout with this new one?
So for this expansion, we chose to do 2 parts with more content in each. We saw
Okay.
player feedback around the time to reach the conclusion of the story and get you far. And with this new format, you'll get just as much content without as long of a wait. But just like with our first expansion, purchasing the Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale expansion pass will get you both parts as they become available.
More content, fewer cliffhangers? Count me in. Now it's time to spill the beans. What is the exciting story this time?
So the Storybook Vale is the place in your heart where all your most treasured stories live. Once it hung in the sky above Dreamlight Valley, but during the forgetting, 2 Disney villains stole the Vale away. For a time, Maleficent from Disney's Sleeping Beauty and Hades from Disney's Hercules ruled peacefully together over its 3 unique biomes, the Bind, Ever After, and Mythopia. but soon a struggle for power between the mistress of all evil and the lord of the underworld tore the Vale apart. As you can imagine, when you get those two egos together in a room, sparks literally fly.
Yes, and when the players arrive in the Vale, they'll find out that things aren't so happily ever after. Ink is spilling out of the very ground throughout the Vale, and other mysterious phenomena have begun to take hold. You'll meet with the Lore Keeper, a talking enchanted book who holds this world together. And while she won't tell many stories in her pages, the discord between Hades and Maleficent has scattered them. So only you can put them back together as you explore the Vale and get a little help from new friends along the way.
That's such a cool concept.
We were all treated to a glimpse of some of the villagers who will hopefully join us on our adventures and later our valleys. I'm sure I'm not the only one curious as to what you can tell us about our new friends.
Well, I'm happy to share that part 1 of the Storybook Vale will bring with it 3 villagers for you to unlock.
Okay.
In the bind, you'll find Merida from Disney and Pixar's Brave. Merida is such a fun character, and she seemed like the perfect new friend for the player. This fearless princess will act as your guide, helping you command your own fate and learn more about this new world.
And in Ever After, you'll meet with Flynn Rider from Disney Tango. This swashbuckling rogue
We're finally
will help
getting
you uncover
Flynn,
a world
okay.
of fairy tales. Flynn's personality is so exciting to play with. Just watch out when he puts on his smolder. For players who already befriended Rapunzel in Disney Dreamlight Valley A Rift in Time, look out for a special opportunity to reunite the two.
Oh, that's cool.
And in Mythopia, you'll meet Hades from Disney's Hercules. Hades will help you to get to the bottom of a world of myths. And in my opinion, Hades is one of the funniest characters ever in a Disney movie.
Yes.
And he brings that same sense of humor to the game.
That's good to hear.
Just watch out as he tries to make you his minion, because he's not exactly the greatest boss.
And of
I
course,
love
all
Hades.
these villagers will come with their own unique houses that you can move to the base game or to a floating island, if that's where you think they work best and want them to live.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna add Hades to my floating island full of villains.
Dude, his
I'll absolutely be
house.
making a Tangled themed floating island to house both Flynn and Rapunzel.
This floating
And I
island
noticed you didn't
thing
mention
is
anything about
amazing.
Maleficent.
While players might run into her in part 1, stay tuned for part 2 to solve all the mysteries of the Vale and welcome her to the Valley.
And that's not all. You can expect one more mysterious figure to join forces with players in part 2 of the Storybook Vale.
Aside from new friends helping us, is there anything else we can expect to aid us in piecing back together the Lore Keeper's stories?
Yes, players will have their new royal net to aid them.
Why a net?
Well, the scatters pages from the Lore Keeper hasn't just scattered with the wind. They've come to life in the form
my
of
God, so
snippets,
cute.
which are enchanted origami creatures that you have to capture.
That's
The
so
snippets
cute.
mostly hang out around the Vale, but watch out for a few special rare ones that will show up back in the Dreamlight Valley.
Can't believe how
Ooh.
cute they are. They're gonna be tricky to catch.
Other than looking adorable flying around the Vale, each snippet will come with their own unique way to be captured that the player will need to figure it out.
And once you catch them, you can restore Disney and Pixar magic to the Lore Keeper's pages with a puzzle minigame. Each tale takes the form of a beautiful tapestry telling the story behind a classic Disney or Pixar film. And these
Whoa.
tapestries can then serve as beautiful pieces of decor that players can use to furnish their in-game homes.
That's
Can't wait to see
awesome.
the gallery spaces our players are gonna design to showcase them. But speaking of designing, as I'm sure players are invested in where to place their home in-game, what can we look forward to when exploring the different biomes in the expansion?
Well, after seeing the feedback from our last expansion, we've improved the flow of unlocking the areas within the biome and how a player progression in turn affect their exploration of this fantastical new world. One of our main goals in crafting the Vale was to allow for easier and more inspired decorating for our decor-driving players. We've also added more magic with the introduction of prominent landmarks inspired by Disney and Pixar stories. But of course, our team delights in creating secrets for players to discover too. Throughout your journey to the Vale, you will uncover trials, special quests inspired by fairy tales and myths. They've become Scrabble-like pages in a book, and only the player can set them right using their full breadth of real tools, old and new.
And I'm sure our community is up for the challenge. With all you've shared, it sounds like there's still many mysteries waiting for us in the Vale. Thank you so much for joining us, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we invite 2 members of the art team to the stage to share more on the world and artistic design of the Storybook Vale. But first, use the code on screen to claim a Dreamlight Bow headband in-game.
All right, everything's looking really cool so far. I think I'm most
joined by
excited for
art
the floating
director
islands.
Steven and concept artist Yanon to dig into some of the inspiration behind the Storybook Vale.
Hey there.
Thanks for having us.
Why don't we start with quite literally the biggest artistic endeavor of the expansion pass, the biomes. Earlier, we were introduced to the Bind, Mythopia, and Ever After. Where did the inspiration for these biomes come from?
In many ways, the biome was born out of our team's collective love of stories. There's something special and uniquely cozy about curling up with a good book. So the decision to lean into dark academia and the cool yet cozy ambience of an autumnal forest just made sense.
And similarly, Mythopia, as you may have guessed from the name, is inspired by Greco-Roman culture and ancient myths.
Very cool.
When you explore this biome, you'll walk through rolling fields of golden wheat, dotted with cypress trees, magenta florals, and ancient ruins.
Olive tree.
You may also discover subtle clues that a certain god of the underworld has also been there.
Finally, there's Ever After. We drew a ton of inspiration from Scottish and Scandinavian folklore, while sprinkling in Fae mythology. The idea was to capture the feeling of a dark enchanted mushroom forest and windswept moorlands.
I don't know about you, but for me, one of the most exciting aspects of digging into new biomes is seeing just how they'll translate into clothing and furniture items. Could you share a sneak peek at what folks can expect?
Of course, self-expression is one of the main pillars of our game, so we love the idea of taking inspiration from the new biomes into player customization. Maybe you want to build a cozy library where you can read for hours, or you want to dress up as a Greek god or goddess, or design a magical mushroom fairy forest. I think that there's something for everyone here.
Speaking of expression, we wanted to take our commitment to aesthetic cohesion even further in the Storybook Vale. Not only will you find Scrooge McDuck's store and Sherry Me within this
It has a
world,
new skin!
you'll also find their facades have been overhauled to better fit in with their biome surroundings.
That's so good to see.
You'll also want to keep an eye out for some new additions to Scrooge McDuck's store that will be available to owners of this new expansion pass.
Knowing just how much care you've put into the smaller details of the environment, I'd love to know if there's any landmarks that stood out to you.
Yes, well, speaking of those smaller details, we loved playing with scale in Ever After. In particular, there's a waterfall feature that's inspired by the Mad Hatter's Tea Party from Disney's Alice in Wonderland. I feel like this perfectly captures the whimsy of that biome.
The giant Hades statues in Mythopia is another imposing sight in game.
Oh, I
Between
love
that
that.
and the design of Mount Olympus, which features flames that mirror Hades himself, I feel like these players will have a blast picking out the details we worked in.
What about snippets? Where did that idea come from?
The snippets are literal pieces of escaped stories torn from a book. When we were imagining how they may have escaped, we realized we wanted the snippets to have their own personalities. So the idea of origami animals or little paper creatures like a cute and fluttery bird or a silly little frog was created.
I love that. Speaking of cute little animals, are you able to share anything about the new animal companions coming this expansion?
Absolutely.
Oh,
As there will
boy.
be 3 biomes arriving in the expansion pass, we'll be adding a unique critter to each, all with their own
We
colour
saw a
variants
dragon.
and puzzling catching mechanics.
Oh, there's an
First of
owl!
these soon-to-be animal companions
We
for the
are
players to
getting
find will be the
owls.
owls in the bind.
And as a nod to Maleficent's rule of the land, players can find mini dragons in Ever After.
Oh, those
and
are
if that's
so
not
cute.
exciting enough, players can also find mini winged horses in Mythopia, drawing inspiration from Disney's Fantasia.
That's incredible. I know I'll be counting down the days
So
until I can
cute.
adventure with a mini dragon at my side. To wrap things up, however, any last details on new collectibles and resources?
As you've seen, the Storybook Vale's biomes are remarkable in their own ways, and the resources you can find in each are unique as well.
One of my favorite
Cauliflower.
new additions are koi. They can be found in the bind
Ooh.
along with sea wolf fish and delicious sea grapes.
How about you, Stephen? Any favorites?
I'm a big fan of the landscaping. Mythopia brings poppies, buried lightning strikes, and bougainvillea.
Buried
Ever After is
lightning
filled with
strikes?
bioluminescent moss and giant flora. There's also plenty of edible plants as well, ranged from green beans to porcini to more fantastical ones like ambrosia.
Well, I can't wait to see how our players react to them. With new resources, can we also expect to be cooking up new delectable dishes?
Of course.
Definitely. We have dozens of new recipes arriving with the expansion pass, utilizing ingredients from both the Valley and the Vale.
Once again, thank you both so much for joining us today to dig into all the amazing art in Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
I can't believe
Now, let's
this
take a
is
look
going to
at
be
how
out
you
in
can
like
get your
3
hands
weeks.
on the expansion pass.
For those of you who've been following along on this magical journey and already own the base game, there are 2 ways to dive into the Storybook Vale expansion pass.
Like a Rift in Time before it, the expansion pass will include a bundle of moonstones with your purchase. If you'd like to add a little extra magic, look no further than the Magical Edition, which offers even more moonstones, a collection of library and chic cosmetic items, and a truly adorable baby Pegasus animal companion.
Oh, that's
If
cute.
you're new or know a friend who would love to get into Disney Dreamlight Valley, these are great starting points. Between the Disney Dreamlight Valley base game, the Storybook Vale bundle, and the Enchanted Edition, you'll be able to choose what's right for you.
And of course, We can't forget about those of you who take the time to dive into updates as soon as they arrive. We're excited to offer a special early adopter bonus for Expansion Pass owners.
Okay.
As we had new ways to begin or expand upon your Disney Dreamlight Valley experience, we'll soon say goodbye to the Gold Edition, which comes bundled with the base game, our first Expansion Pass, A Rift in Time, and an assortment of cosmetic items.
This edition will officially leave stores on November 20th at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. We are kicking off our deepest sale of the Gold Edition to date, so catch up on our first expansion, also on sale, while you wait for the Storybook Vale.
And there you have it. From a new expansion pass exploring myth and the stories that connect us, to floating islands that will open up all sorts of creativity in the valley. We're so glad you were able to join us for all the excitement of today's showcase.
Remember to redeem the 2 codes we shared throughout this showcase, and the third and final one, right here, for unique Dreamlight themed items in the game.
And stay tuned to our social channels over the coming weeks for even more details on these exciting new releases. Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale expansion pass launches on November 20th, and the So Delightful update arrives on December 4th. See you in the valley.
Oh my god, dude. The floating islands, though. And this whole... Dude, this entire expansion looks really, really good. You know what? Let's replay some key moments of this showcase and discuss them. So first off, I want to take a look at these Winter StarPath items. This is a really cool looking set of items. And I know this is only a minor sneak peek at what we're going to get because we're seeing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decor items here, it looks like. And also a cosmetic item, the wardrobe item looks like that jacket. But I'm really liking the look of this StarPath. This looks really fun and different and unique, and I don't know, it looks really, really cool, so I'm excited to get my hands on this. I'm already thinking about how I can incorporate some of these things into my valley. But I must say, I think one of the most exciting features of this entire showcase, of course, aside from how cool the expansion looks, would be the floating islands that we're getting. And this is really, really neat to see because we've been discussing what the teaser was on there, because they teased one of these floating islands. We saw what looked like a sunlit plateau, but it had a river going through it, and it had an ocean off the coast of it. It looked completely different from the sunlit plateau. And a lot of players were debating what they were looking at. It had a lot of people thinking that terraforming was coming to the valley. And I had a lot of people asking me on my Twitch channel, do you think terraforming is coming to the valley? And I said, honestly, no, I don't think it's coming to the base valley. I don't think we're ever going to be able to really remove ponds or add rivers to our base biomes, like Forest of Valor, Dazzle Beach, the Peaceful Meadow, because the map is already pre-designed. And of course, they could update that. They could change that and make a map that updates as you construct your valley. But what I was telling people I thought those photos were, sorry, I'm trying to think about how to word this. But when people were asking me what I thought these photos were, I felt pretty confident that this was going to be a separate area on the valley that we can travel to, or off the valley that we could travel to. Ever since we first saw that Sunlit Plateau teaser that showed a biome that looked like the Sunlit Plateau, but was different from the Sunlit Plateau. And of course, now we know what we were seeing was Sunlit Island. And we were 100% right about that. It is not just in the valley. It is attached to the valley, yes, but it's something that you like fast travel to. But it's a new separate area. And this is something we've needed in the game for a while. Number one, we're kind of running out of space. But number two, when it comes to Dreamsnaps, I've always wanted like a nice big separate area that I can use, because I love to fully decorate my valley. I love to fully decorate Eternity Isle. So knowing we're going to get some separate standalone areas and I can use some of these areas for, you know, different Dreamsnap builds, that's very exciting for me. I am eager to learn more about these floating islands. I'm wondering if we'll be able to do some terraforming on those islands or transform them a bit more. I guess, like I said, like they said in the video, they're going to give us more teasers moving forward as we get closer to the updates. So I'm sure we're going to learn a good bit more about these floating islands. But yeah, this is around what I was expecting. I was telling people I think that the photos we saw did not mean we were going to be able to terraform our valleys, as the game's just not coded for that. And a lot of people got really excited thinking they're going to be able to delete ponds and create new rivers. And like we were saying on my stream, I just don't think that's the case, at least not for the base valley. Now, it could happen, and I would not be mad if it happened. I would would be very happy about that. But from a game development standpoint, the game was not designed to do that with the base valley. So it would be very tricky for the devs to pull that off. So when it comes to a development standpoint, that's why I didn't think that was going to happen. What I was telling people we were looking at was some kind of separate area that we'll be able to travel to, and maybe we could terraform there. Now, we might be able to terraform these floating islands. Like I said, we don't know. But I'm just happy to get some great new space, and this is part of the free update. So even if you're not buying the DLC, this is something really big to look forward to, and I'm very excited to see this. Another thing I am just absolutely thrilled to see would, of course, be the fact that we're going to get 16 points of rotation now on our items. The fact that we're going to be able to angle houses and trees and just any decor. This is an absolute game changer when it comes to self-expression and creating the Dreamsnaps you want to create, creating the valley builds you would like to create. This just adds an entirely new dimension to our self-expression in our valley. So this is something I was wanting to see for a long time and hoping we would see. I'm glad I've torn up my valley to make my Halloween build because I'm going to have to rebuild everything anyway. So I might just wait until we get this update and then rebuild my valley so I could, just take a different approach. Another thing I'm really excited for here would be the free content roadmap. It's always cool to get a first look at what's coming. So early 2025, first up, we see this, I think that's one of those, is that like a hat thing? And then we have this tiara, or what is that? No, well, I'm pretty sure this is Jasmine and Aladdin. But yeah, early 2025, it looks like we're going to get Jasmine and Aladdin here. Spring 2025, it looks like we're getting an Alice in Wonderland update because we have the Cheshire Cat grin here. That's really cool. And then the big topic I think a lot of people are going to be discussing is finally we're getting some closure on Skull Rock, and we're getting the Skull Rock quest. I'm not sure why it took this long for us to get some movement on Skull Rock, but it is great to see. And with this little feather here, this is our clue for the villager that's going to be connected to Skull Rock, and I'm pretty sure this means we're going to be seeing Peter Pan with Skull Rock. Now, when we discuss Skull Rock on my channel, we've talked about this a lot, and like I've always said, with Skull Rock, there's really only two options I think that make sense, and that would be Peter Pan or pirates like Captain Hook or Captain Jack. But Peter Pan does make more sense because if you go back to what the Forgotten said when he sent us that letter, or she, depending on if you're playing with a female avatar, when they sent us that letter, it said, "We used to play with somebody as a child in Skull Rock." And that just makes sense with Peter Pan. Peter Pan, forever young, playing with children. So, yeah, I think that this is definitely going to be Peter. And just to show Peter's little feather here, here it is in his hat. It's got this little crook in it right here. It's got this red coloration. And when we go back to the video here, you can see a little crook in the feather, and you see this red coloration. So I think this is definitely symbolic of Peter Pan. Out of all these characters, Peter Pan, the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, I think I'm just most excited for Aladdin and Jasmine. I have wanted Aladdin in the game since it was released. Aladdin is forever one of my favorite classic Disney movies. It was my favorite to watch growing up, and I've just been dying to get Aladdin in the game. So I am, out of all these roadmaps, I'm glad the early one is the one I'm the most excited for. So yeah, I just cannot wait to bring them into my valley. Moving on to the paid expansion, I have to say this concept art looks so good. And it is very interesting to see that we are indeed getting a royal tool. I discussed this in some videos on YouTube, and I had a lot of commenters saying we don't need a new royal tool. They shouldn't do a new royal tool. We have too many. And I thought that was kind of a strange take. I'm like, how can you have too many tools? More tools just means more diversity in the gameplay. It just means you could do more fun things. And I'm not surprised we're getting a net. It's pretty clear that in some ways, Disney Dreamlight Valley does take inspiration from other life sims like Animal Crossing. What I'm getting at here is using your net to like catch bugs in Animal Crossing was really fun and just a fun way to spend time to complete your museum. A lot of us have discussed, do you think a net will ever come to the game? And I think it's something that players have theorized would be a possibility with royal tools in the future, but we just weren't sure how it would work. Like, what would you catch with the net? Would you catch bugs or something else? So I love the fact that they've added these adorable little origami creatures and this new royal tool, this net. I think it's really fun. I'm just, honestly, I'm really glad we got a new royal tool. I'm also excited to see what different skins are going to look like for this new net. And also the previous new royal tool we got, the Hourglass, they ended up making variants of the Hourglass that go with some of the older tool skins that came out before we had the Hourglass. Like we got the Nefarious tool set and they added the Nefarious Hourglass. I hope they do that with this new net on release. I hope there are already different versions made for the different skins that we have for tools. I guess we'll have to see, but I hope that's something they had the foresight to take care of early this time. Just like with a Rift in Time in Eternity Isle, purchasing Storybook Vale does include 5,000 Moonstones. And I think this base edition right here, this Storybook Vale expansion, is going to run $30. That's my guess, because that is exactly what they charged for Rift in Time when it was introduced. However, this time around, it looks like they have an upgraded version of the expansion. Storybook Vale is probably going to cost $30, and the Magical Edition is probably going to cost $50. You said you tagged me in the prices. And according to my chat here, we were 100% right on our price guess. They've already listed the prices. So yeah, this version is going to run $50, which is more than the base game. And that's why I'm not a big fan of expansions having these special editions. But like I said, they just want to maximize their profits. I get it. But I do wish that this stuff just came with the expansion. I wish this was just included in the expansion as part of it. But I know I'm going to pick up the Magical Edition because, well, I have every premium house in the game right now, and I don't want to miss any, and I love reviewing the items, so I'll definitely be picking up the Magical Edition. But I do think we're going to see some pushback on this, but it'll die off. It always does. And if you think about it, the extra rewards aren't too bad. I mean, you're talking about a $20 price difference. So for $20 more, you're going to get 10,000 Moonstones, Baby Pegasus and his house, 2 new outfits, and a good-looking house. And taking a second to reference the premium shop, just as an example here, if you were to buy $20 worth of Moonstones, you would only get 5,500. So, you know, when you look at it that way, the Magical Edition can be considered a good deal to some. For $20, you're going to get pretty much really close to double what you would get in the big Moonstone pack, and you're going to get some cool cosmetics. I do believe it's a good deal. I'm just not the biggest fan of paywalling, you know, new content in this manner, but I get it. Like I said, it's a business. They need to make money. And I know some people will be bummed out because I've talked to some people that said they're going to be saving up for the expansion. And I know some people that can't even pick up the expansion right when it comes out, and they'll pick it up later. So if it's tough for some people to pick up a $30 expansion, well, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to pick up the $30 bundle or the $50 bundle here. But, you know, I know for myself and many others, we're happy to support the game. And, I mean, let's be real here. I have nearly 4,000 hours in this game. I've definitely got my money's worth, so I don't mind spending extra money on the game and supporting the game. Now, the last thing I want to touch on in this video is going to be the November 20th release date, which I am so happy to see. It's 2 days before my birthday, so that means I'm going to be enjoying this on my birthday. I'm very excited about that. We've been discussing the release date for the expansion for the past couple of weeks, and we've been saying November 20th is a real possibility, mostly because we all knew the gold edition was going to expire on the 20th. And if we go back to last year, the early access deluxe and ultimate editions expired right before the release of Eternity Isle. So I think that's where the rumor of November 20th came from. And after looking into it myself, I said, yeah, that makes sense. And we've been talking about this a lot on my channel. We've been saying that there's a very good chance it was going to drop on the 20th. So I was happy to see that actually did end up being the case. Because, you know, I did see some naysayers out there saying that, no, there's no way it's not going to come out till December. But I think most people did agree once we pointed out our logic behind it. Once we said, well, you know, the gold edition expires right around that time. And It also doesn't matter when the current StarPath expires because the StarPath doesn't have anything to do with the paid expansion. Is the Dreamlight Valley team still here? Did we miss them? Hello, you guys. Welcome. So I love the showcase. The floating islands, that's just exactly what I've been waiting for. One thing I've talked about a lot, one of my absolute favorite things when it comes to Disney Dreamlight Valley is the Dreamsnap system. I just love doing Dreamsnaps, but I also love decorating my valley. And one of the problems I've run into with Dreamsnaps is if you fully decorate your valley, it's like you're being punished in Dreamsnaps because you don't have an area to make your Dreamsnaps. And of course, you can't just use your builds. So I've always said I would love to have some kind of separate area that I could travel to and decorate that's separate from the valley. And the fact that you guys added these floating islands is just exactly what I was hoping to see. So I'm very, very, very pumped for that. And Storybook Vale looks absolutely amazing. All right, so there you have it, you guys. We've discussed a lot of the hot topics from today's showcase. This was such an exciting reveal. I mean, the expansion just looks so good. The floating isles look outstanding. The fact that we're going to be able to fully rotate items in different angles is a really big deal. There's just a lot to look forward to. And the expansion is only like 3 weeks away. But that's not the only exciting thing on the horizon. Halloween is 2 days away. And on Halloween, I'm going to be dropping my Halloween Valley tour. So for all of you guys watching today's video, I really hope you check out my Valley tour. I've never done anything like this. I completely destroyed my valley. I spent around 7 million star coins and I converted every biome into a Halloween theme. Every single one. And this was a crazy project. It's taken me a couple of weeks, but I wanted to do something really fun and special for all of you guys that follow this channel on Halloween this year. So keep an eye out for the Halloween Valley tour. I think I'll have it out around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Eastern time on Halloween Day. So that's this Thursday. So yeah, if you're excited to check that out, just keep an eye out for that video. I can't wait to show you guys what I've done. And in the meantime, if you want to see some sneak peeks of it, you can always swing by our Twitch. Links to our Twitch channel and Discord server can be found in the video description down below. As always, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you're excited for the future of Disney Dreamlight Valley.